Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Two Podcast, episode 265, Hollywood news, TV, and movie reviews, and my Take Two. Hello, my name is Brian. I'm your host here at Take Two Podcast. Thank you, folks, for joining in today. We have a great show for you coming up. We have 4 big reviews: Eternals, Harder They Fall, Finch, Army of Thieves, all came out this weekend or recently, and we are going to chat about them later. We have a fun box office to review, poll results coming in, a couple of trailers, a lot of casting that we're going to jib-jab about later. Some good news there, some Hollywood news, DC, Marvel, and of course our going forward. We have a loaded show, episode 265. Thank you guys for subscribing, downloading, listening to Take Two Podcast, watching if you're over on the YouTube. If you want more of us, you can join our Facebook page, our Instagram page, of course, all the socials across the board. Twitter, at Take Two Podcast, we're easy to find. And jump on. We put a lot of stuff up there. There's fun things like the poll and some questions and some chit-chatting back and forth throughout the week. And would love to talk TV and film with you guys. If you want to talk even more, 667-365-8253, 667-365-8253. You can leave a voicemail there, or you can drop a text anytime, day or night. That is the Take Two hotline, baby. It is open and ready for your thoughts. Ratings and reviews. Guys, we got 2 new ratings, 2 new 5-star ratings this past week. Thank you very much. I will take them all day long. I do appreciate it. Especially recently our show has changed. The show for 4.9 years was to more than one host. And we just at the 5-year mark have now switched. Just me. It's going to be a solo show for a while. And I thank you guys. I thank you guys for those extra nice, kind words and the reviews. They're fantastic. I'll take more. It definitely helps this show grow. Because I have noticed since changing, we've lost a lot of listeners. I saw the numbers go way down. And that's totally cool. Because I personally enjoy a show that has more than one host itself. If I see a show as only a solo, I go in a little tentative myself. So those that have stuck around for just hearing my voice and just hearing me, thank you very much. Thank you for sticking with Take Two Podcast. For those of you who forgot you're still subscribed, please don't turn us off. Stick around. We appreciate it. Thank you. And all the loyal listeners across the board from Take Two and all of you guys that are on the socials. I just wanted to send out an extra thank you. It's almost like we're starting from scratch here, even though it's year 5. And I love everything about what you guys send my way and what I send your way. And just to not belabor the point too much, a big thanks from me to you guys for sticking around. And hey, just tell your friends. Say, hey, not that bad. TV, movies, film, all kinds of things in between. We're going to chat about that. Also, later on today, we have a PodRec that I want to discuss, another podcast that does have 2 hosts. But we're going to chat about that a wee bit later on today. Okay, if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Might as well get rocking and rolling into episode 265. Let's start things off how we do with that box office. Your box office results today. The big winner over the weekend is Eternals. $71 million for Eternals. That's a good chunk of money for Marvel for a 2-hour and 37-minute film about a bunch of characters that nobody knew. We will have a review a little bit later. We're going to discuss that exact aspect of said film a little bit later. But for the hate that this film got online going ahead into it, the critics, whether it was critic slamming or purposeful, bashing it to drive that rating down, it still made $71 million domestically. It has still made $161 million worldwide. Is that because of Marvel? Maybe. Is that because it's a good movie? Maybe. We'll talk about that in a second because it's going to lead off our reviews in a couple of minutes. But good for them. 4,000 theaters, $71 million. Dune comes in at number 2, $7 million. $330 million this is made worldwide. It's still sitting at 83 domestically. You know they want that $17 million. You know they want to try and get that. So maybe 3 more weeks, being at $7 million. Maybe 4 more weeks they might get it because that puts them over 100. And if they can say, hey, we got $100 million, now we should make a part 2. Wait, they already announced they're having a part 2. Woo, they're good either way. But they would love to at least say, hey, domestically we still made the $100 million. No Time to Die comes in $6 million, 143. Worldwide, 667. It's not going to hit the billion mark like Skyfall did. But not bad, man. Not bad. For overall a not phenomenally reviewed film by your Bond purists. I have noticed a lot of your younger crowd, they love this movie. They really enjoyed it. It's a great Bond film. Just some of the choices they made. If you want to know what my thoughts are, you got to review back, go back 3 episodes to hear my reviews. And then I also did a specialty episode with a Bond aficionado, Brian Thomas, all about the Daniel Craig Bonds. You can listen to that. It's on your Take Two podcast feed now. But $143 million, nothing to sneeze at. 667 worldwide, nothing to sneeze at. That means this movie is being liked to a degree. Good for them. Good job, Bond. Congrats, Daniel Craig. All right, number 5, Venom Let There Be Carnage. That's sitting at 197 domestically. It made 4.4 this weekend. Again, they want that $3 million, and they're going to keep it in 2 more weeks. They'll have it. So that'll be $200 million domestically, and then, worldwide, it's been making plenty of cash. Ron's Gone Wrong comes in 5th place, $3.6 million, gives a 17 overall. French Dispatch. The movie has been well received to the point where they said, ooh, hey, let's put it in some more theaters. It opened up limited, and then they said, okay, we're going to open it up like semi-wide, kind of. It was, in my opinion, still anything under 1,000 is still limited, in my opinion. But they boosted 400 theaters, put it into 1,200 total. Still, only 1,200 theaters. That's a quarter of the amount that Eternals came in over the weekend. Either way, $2.6 million puts it at 8.5 overall. There's that nuance there that loves that style of film and those filmmakers, and they're going to see it. So good for them. 7th place, Halloween Kills, $89 million overall, 2.3 this weekend. Spencer, opening weekend for Spencer. Again, it was limited. This movie I'm going to see eventually because we're looking at a nomination for Kristen Stewart here. $2.1 million so far. It's going to remain limited forever. Eventually, we'll get a review of that down the road. I promise you, because I'm very much wanting to see it. I think the movie is going to be decent, but I think the performance by Stewart is why people are going to see this movie. Antlers comes in 9th place with $2 million even, puts it at 7.6. And then in 10th place, Last Night in Soho drops down $1.8 million, puts it at 7 overall. That's a bummer, man, because that is such a good film. Such a good film, Last Night in Soho, to only still have made $7.6 million. I don't know why it hasn't made that much. It's been out 2 weeks. It should make more. That is a great movie. Now that Halloween spooky season is done, I can't see that happening, but still, that movie deserves more because it's phenomenally made. I raved about it last week on episode 264. Please go out and see that film if you get a chance. The Last Duel, speaking of criminally underseen, also dropped down. Now it's only 220 theaters. There's many, many reasons why I think people should see that. It came in 15th place, only made $150,000. That movie just crosses $10 million made. That's a major bummer. Now, last week I was jib-jabbing about when was the last time Disney was not in the top 10, because the first time Shang-Chi fell out, and Shang-Chi came in at 14th place this week and made $500,000. Isn't it nuts? If I gave you $500,000 right now, it would change your life, right? Literally change your life. And the people at Shang-Chi are like, meh, we made $500,000. Okay, whatever. We'll take it, I guess. Right? I don't know. Just funny when you think of things in perspective. I promise you that I would go back to see when was the last time that Disney did not have a top 10 film in the box office. And not as great as I thought. August 27th through the 29th was the last time. It was the weekend before Shang-Chi came in. So it wasn't as drastically far away as I thought it was, because I thought we might have had some things carrying over at the very least. Maybe Black Widow did carry for a while, but not long enough to keep them. So either way, August 27th through 29th. Last time did it. Now, here's what we should pay attention to. Maybe we can do this research. What's the longest stretch that they stayed in the top 10? Because with all the Avengers and all of them, they had to have stayed in forever. We're talking years here. What's the longest stretch now going forward? Because Eternals will stay in the top 10 until Spider-Man will come out, I assume. Then Spider-Man then kicks off, boom, 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 going forward. Now, caveat, Spider-Man is Sony. So that's going to count for Sony's numbers. Disney shaking in their boots, I bet. JK. All right, box office is done. Thank you guys for joining there. Let's rock and roll right into the poll results, shall we? I wanted to know, because November is upon us. October is such a huge month. October broke the record for money made in 2021 in the box office. Talked about last week. Top earning month of 2021 because it had so many great movies that came out. I couldn't even get to them all because there was so much. I haven't even touched TV series that I want to watch yet because October was so great. Guess what? November is going to be even better in some people's opinion. Tons of films came out. This again was a comment below type poll. I threw out the options, just in my opinion, the top seeds. But then below, anybody could comment below. No one really did, though. I will say that. Everyone just stuck with the options thrown out there. I threw out there House of Gucci, Ghostbusters Part 4, 3, 4, what are we calling that? Ghostbusters Afterlife, Belfast, and Eternals. What do you say, folks? What do you want to see? What are you most looking forward to? Of the Twitter results, Gucci comes in 44%. That's your winner for the Twitter poll. Ghostbusters comes in at 25%, Belfast at 18%, and Eternals at 13%. Only $71 million, only 13%. Very intriguing there with the Eternals. All right, Film Rage Podcast says they're torn. Bryce and Jim, they want to see Belfast, but Murray wants to see Ghostbusters. Is that because Bill Murray, his name's Murray? I had to actually reread that 3 times. I was like, wait, they want it because of Murray. Oh, no, that's the gentleman's name. It's Murray. Film Rage Podcast. Great podcast. You guys should check it out. I've listened to a couple of their reps, not as many as I should. But they were a little torn. So we got a couple votes for Belfast, one for Ghostbusters. Paul Seguin, frequent commenter on the Twitters, says Belfast looks great. Paul, I fully agree with you. Craig says he was torn. Eternals, Ghostbusters, and then he says, reviews be damned. And Craig aligns with me on this one. Like, sometimes when people review bash something, it makes me want to go see it. Just say, screw you guys. I wanted to see it. I'm going to go see it type thing. But to that note, he went Ghostbusters. So, sorry, Ghostbusters still gets the top spot. No argument against you there, buddy. And then Katz, our good buddy Katz, comedian, hilarious dude, doing his own thing, says, who you going to call? Bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. He didn't say that part. He just said the who you gonna call. So we got some votes for Ghostbusters. I think because there was 1, 2, 3 comments for Belfast, 1, 2, 3 comments for Ghostbusters. That equals them out. Carry the 1. House of Gucci still wins because I don't think they catch up to Gucci. Maybe a 3-way tie and Eternals just you're left holding the bag, if you will. But there you go, folks. Every Thursday we drop the poll. You can vote on that thing all throughout the weekend. I implore you to all of us comment below if there's something else that you're really looking forward to. I didn't even include Finch on there, which that just dropped in November, which you could have jumped on. I have a review of that coming up later. There's other films out there that you're more than welcome to vote and comment. Thursdays, that's across all of our stuff, Facebook, Instagram, and especially Twitter. Vote on the poll, share it, tell your pals, hey, let's get these poll numbers up if you don't mind. Okay, all done with the poll. Now, straight on into our reviews, baby. All right, we're leading off with Eternals. All right, so here's things that Marvel has done right. I will be spoiler-free for this. I'm not going to get into it. Maybe we'll have to do a spoiler-filled a little bit later on. But Marvel was able to take characters that not a lot of people read. In my age bracket, at least where I was with my comic friends. Now, granted, some of you guys in my age bracket might also know that reading comics when we were kids wasn't the cool thing to do. So I know in my schools, I had to hide the fact that I was a comic fan. And then when I got shoved in my lockers, it was awesome. I just left my comics in there and then just read them with a flashlight. But I didn't know a lot of folks that really invested into some of the side characters of Marvel. And that's a me thing, but in speaking with other people, they agree with the same. Like Iron Man to boot. A lot of folks I know didn't read a lot of Iron Man. But Marvel has done a great job on the big screen of now investing us in these characters, investing us in this world. And we've had to allow them this, right? This is a huge, huge reach for them in the next step going forward. You are now relying on very deep-cut comic book readers to invest into these characters, or you're relying on people who said, I'm invested in Marvel, let me see what they're going to give me going forward. That was me, guilty. I'm invested in what Marvel's movies doing. Now, I said this after my review of Endgame 2 years ago. Had Marvel stopped making films at that point, I could have been satisfied. I could have said, I am good to go. You guys gave me 10 years of glorious product, and I bawled my eyes out when that thing wrapped up. You ended it perfectly. I'm good with these phases. Marvel said, no, we like to make money. We're going to keep going. And here's what they got to do. They have to give us new characters, right? They have to give us new characters. Okay, that's a lot to boot here to start off Eternals. Chloe Zhao can make a damn movie, man. This woman can make a movie. She knows what she's doing when it comes to movie making, and it's phenomenal. Were the review bashings because she's a woman making an action film? If that's the case, kiss my bumper, folks. You're idiots. You don't know what you're talking about. And maybe as a society, we should move on from that nonsense because Chloe Zhao can make a dang movie. This woman is phenomenal in the films, in film making, cinematography, set design, character design, costume. You add it all together. The screenplay that they put together, everything. Chloe Zhao had her hand in it, and she's fantastic. I can't wait to see going forward her still in the Marvel Universe. They got heavy name actors in this: Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Jolie, Salma Hayek. They got these big time actors in here, which they didn't necessarily push for in the past. Good for them. You needed some big name actors because you needed people to go see this movie for a reason, since nobody knew Cersei, Ikaria, Athena, etc. Right? Dane Whitman. Your deep cut Marvel readers might have known that, but not your everyday casual. All right, my review. The movie is good. Is it upper echelon Marvel? No. Is it bottom tier? No, 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 no. Closer to the upper echelon. I think I put it in my rankings at like 11 overall. Why not 10? Because we go to 11. I believe I put it at 11. Let me double check here as I'm chit-chatting with you guys. Yeah, I have it sitting firmly right now around the 11 to 13 seed spot. But I liken this movie a lot to Man of Steel. And not to cross genres here. I saw Man of Steel. Die hard, hardcore Superman fan. They changed shit in Man of Steel, right? And asked us to invest in a new route that they're going with this character. Very deep cut comic booky stuff. Very diving into what is the character and the mythos of these characters, especially these godlike characters who can do so much with their powers. And I watched Man of Steel first time, liked it, thought about it. I've done that with this film. Same thing. We're diving into the mythos of these characters. We're diving into the deep cut of them as godlike creatures on our planet. How do they deal with their everyday life on our planet? These people could dominate us if they wanted to, but no, they are going through this mythology of them on Earth. So it's very deep cutty stuff here for a comic book movie, right? And I think there's people out there that might be like, I just want to watch a comic book movie. But that's not where we're at anymore in our society or our world or people watching these films. Sorry, that's gone. So liking that, if I'm still liking that, and I'll be off of Man of Steel in a second, but I mean this positively, the more I thought about Man of Steel, and then the more I rewatched Man of Steel, the more I've gone to love it. It's not the Superman I grew up on, but I have grown to accept what they were doing with the character who is diving even deeper into the humanality of a non-human. Bam! Eternals. How do we invest humanality into non-humans? How do we put humanity, that's the word I was looking for, because humanity, the other one's not a word, in these characters? And that's exactly what this movie's about. That's exactly, these people have powers, they can do whatever the crap they want if they wanted to. But they were told, no, don't interfere, stick here. And while they're sticking here for thousands of years, how many times have they mentioned that they've been here 7,000 years, by the way? They become one of us. They become a human. It gets ingrained inside of them because they see the good in us. They see the good in humanity. And that's the line in comic book characters that I think sometimes we forget about. And that's the line with some comic book characters that people poo-poo. And they're like, I just want to see people punch each other. All right, there's movies for that. But I don't think that's this film. This film is a deeper, thought-provoking process. Action-wise, scenery, glorious. CGI, all that stuff, glorious. Comic book stuff, glorious. All right, as far as superheroes go, what's her name playing Makari? Lauren Ridloff. This is, I hope the folks at The Flash, sorry, I'm bringing up DC again. Can't help it because I like both. I hope the folks making The Flash paid attention to how they handled a speedster in this movie, because Chloe Zhao knows how to do a speedster. Lauren Ridloff's version of Makari and version of a speedster, that's a speedster I want to see on screen. That's better than CW's Flash. That's far superior than what Zack Snyder did with the Flash so far. That is what I want to see a speedster do. Just using their speed to the top degree, not just to run from point A to B quickly, or not just to run and steal and eat a hot dog real fast. This is to actually use your speed in a way that you can fight just by using the speed. I loved every bit of Makari's character in the use of her as a speedster. Fantastic. I thought Brian Tyree Henry did a great job. I thought Barry Keoghan did a great job. I don't know that I've seen that much drama or change in character arc in Barry Keoghan. Voila, very nice. Kit Harington, of course, jumps in here. Kit Harington looked a little chubby, by the way. Fun thing. My wife, a big Jon Snow fan. You know nothing, Jon Snow. Big Jon Snow fan. So I teased her. You tease each other, which celebs are you into, whatever. And she's like, not the biggest Kit Harington fan. Just a big Jon Snow fan. And I was like, oh, that's intriguing. Seeing him in this movie, I kind of get it. I was like, oh, he's not as good looking if he doesn't have a freaking sword and a loincloth. Anywho, we're going to get, more Kit Harington going forward. Guys, I enjoyed this movie. Again, I'm being spoiler free here so that, it's a little difficult, but my review is I enjoyed the movie. It is hovering top 10 Marvel for me. It's in that range. I think as I think and I grow on it, I can move it up the boards. It's just hard to replace your classics that are ingrained into your heart, right? I thought Madden did a good job. I thought Gemma Chan was fine. Jolie, not given a lot. Hayek, not given a lot. But both when they were there, cool. I think Jolie, we're going to see more of going forward. Kumail Nanjiani steals the movie. And I wonder if they wanted him specifically for his comedic chops. It's funny because he got jacked for the role. He didn't really need to. I didn't think he needed to get jacked in any capacity. Like, his character, there's no reason for him to get jacked. But I wonder if he was like, all right, sorry, family, I need to get swole. And he does. There's like one scene where he's got a cut off sleeve and you can see the arms. So good for him. But it was funny. He doesn't need to be shredded for this character. Maybe going forward, he has more topless scenes or something we needed. Leah McHugh as Sprite, great job. Phenomenal. Everything across the board was good. I just think there's a section where you need to buy into this film more in the mythology and more in just the deep-rooted, thought-provoking comic book lore than I just want to see people punch each other. You know, that basic comic book movie. And if you're in that lane, you're going to like this movie. You're going to like it. I will say I did not love it, and I will tell you why. I was on the fence the entire film. I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying, I'm paying attention, storyline's going. And let me tell you, folks, I don't love the outer space stuff. Like Guardians to me, and you know, Silver Surfer coming in, and we're getting people from different universes, different planets. I don't love that. I'm more of a at-home, things that happen on Earth type of person. But so all these, you know, celestials coming in and creating from beyond and all that kind of stuff, that does lose me. But here I was in. Okay, listening, following, let's see what happens. What are we doing? Again, we went down the road of entire world destruction type thing. But about an hour and 45 minutes in, I did check the watch, not because I was bored, but just to check, and still had an hour to go. And I did think, mother effer, I've still got an hour to go. So that brings me from love down to, I really like this movie. I think come back to me in 3 weeks once I've watched this again, maybe, or when it comes out on VOD or whatever, and I've watched it again. I think I'm going to come circle around to even higher. Definitely. But for now, I like it. Okay, let's move along. Eternals, I give it a great review. Looking forward to where they go with these characters going forward. It was a good time. I recommend you guys do check it out. You may need to check it out for the future of Marvel, but you probably don't need to check it out before Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. Probably. Because, like, the post-credit scenes, plural, don't adhere to that. There are mentions of the other worldly heroes, i.e. Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, but I don't know how much they're going to mix. So if you're thinking, oh crap, do I got to see this before I see Spider-Man? My answer is I don't think so. Done with Eternals. Moving along. Harder They Fall. All right, Harder They Fall. This is a based on true story movie about black cowboys back in the Old West. And it opens up saying the characters in this are real. This specific story is not. And legit, the majority of the characters in this were actual people, actual legitimate people. This is on Netflix, and just over 2 hours. I think it's 210-ish. True people that just aren't talked about. And this movie was made to let people know that, yeah, there were black cowboys, there were black outlaws back in the day. They had their own gangs, they had their own world that they lived in, but we just don't talk about them, which is a bummer. And had we been talking about them like this movie does, I think they'd be way more popular in the ethos of our society for sure, because this movie is flipping fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed my time with this. It is great. Jonathan Majors can do no wrong by me right now. I love this guy. Put him in all the films. There's a scene with him and Idris Elba that I was just like, oh, Lord, why couldn't I have been on set just to watch these gentlemen act? Goodness, it was so good. Zazie Beetz does a phenomenal job. Regina King, the queen of Hollywood right now. She's fantastic in this movie. Again, no spoilers. Here's what I will say. These are gangsters. These are outlaws. Jonathan Majors plays Nat Love, who isn't a good guy, but he robs from the bad. He robs from the outlaws. So he's Dexter type thing. So he tries to, Robin Hood, I guess you could call him, type scenario where he's taking from the bad guys. So he's a good-ish guy, but he still does bad things together. Anyway, I'm rambling. He throughout I'm sorry, I lost my place there, guys. Regina King, phenomenal job. Zazie Beetz, phenomenal job. I can. Oh, there's a scene between Elba and Jonathan Majors. That's where I was going with this. Sorry. Yeah, I lost my place in my notes. Apologize. Majors and Elba together. they do this one scene that I was just like, that is absolute. I want to put the two of them in every movie that I've ever seen going forward. Just let those two gentlemen do their thing the entire way out. Eddie Gathegi, I believe you say his name. Fantastic job. You even get a little Damon Wayans Jr. in here. Lakeith Stanfield, good job. He is the most chill dude in the history of chill. Like, just the way that guy talks and his mannerisms was like, how is this guy always... I mean, he's a freaking outlaw, cowboy outlaw, and he's just so chill. And Delroy Lindo was the last one that I was forgetting. Loaded cast, a lot of fun. They really dive deep into these characters. They give a lot of character depth and arc into cowboys, into outlaws, where a lot of times there's just shoot 'em up. You know, I'm just going to follow this guy. He's going to rob this bank, and then we're going to shoot him up, and they're all dead. He lived. We're good to go. I will say, because it's cowboys and outlaws, this is the point I was going to make an hour ago that I lost my place. Some people die. It happens in every cowboy gangster western that you get. I was bummed at some of the deaths on here because I want to see a sequel with those characters. I was like, oh man, why did that person have to die? Why did that person have to die? Because I would love to see a next one with those characters. There's a couple characters in here that do die that I'm thinking I would love a prequel out of. Let me see some pre-stuff going into this with just them, just those characters on the side. So I really enjoyed Harder They Fall. Without giving too many spoilers away, it is really well done. A lot of fun. I do feel they could trim 25 minutes off of it, make this thing $1.45, $1.50, something to that degree. They really dive deep into some characters. They really dive deep into, you know, now we have to go to this town. Now we have to do this job. Now we have to do this robbery. All right, there are some draggy parts in there. Whatever. Great film. Check it out on Netflix. Put it on 1.25 speed if you don't have full 210 hours. It's great. But let me tell you, towards the end when there's Jonathan Majors and Idris Elba scene, watch it at regular speed. These gentlemen. Woo! Chef's kiss. All right, Harder They Fall, high praise. Moving along to Army of Thieves. Army of Thieves dropped onto the Netflix. Oh, we're all Netflixy. I totally forgot about that. Army of Thieves is it's kind of a spin-off, prequel to Matthias, Schweighöfer, his Ludwig character from Zack Snyder's zombie movie that we just got 3 months ago. And this, prequel-y thing about him robbing banks and being a safe cracker. Directed by Matthias Schweighöfer, and he's directed some things in the past, but this is kind of his first big budget feature. He actually hasn't directed in a couple of years. He did some episodes of some television stuff, but he, Nathalie Emmanuel, Stuart Martin, they're your main folks, Rubio Fee, they do a good job, and this is your typical heist comedy where he plays this role well. He is this very shy, introverted dude who has this ability to crack safes. He's also very invested in these 3 big safes that were uncrackable and created way long ago, but there's a whole myth behind them and a reasoning that they're uncrackable, etc. And you need to know your history to be able to get in there. That kind of stuff. Gets in with this group. They say, hey, listen, we'll get millions of dollars if we can crack these. You join our team. Bing, we'll go crack these safes. At the same time, by the way, over in America, because this is all happening in Europe, there's like a zombie outbreak, BT dub, happening. Okay, interesting. So they just give you little teases of Snyder's zombie world that he's now created, that he's putting on to Netflix. You know, we announced last week that there would be the Planet of the Dead film going forward. Either way, this does have a little bit of a love story element to it, which I'll be honest, that's the part I didn't buy. He is in love with one of the other characters inside the gang, and will she love him back? He's kind of dorky. She's badass. We've seen it, but also, I don't know. I didn't buy their chemistry. Just didn't buy it. Either way, that's how it plays out. This is a fun movie. This is a highly recommended 1.25 on Netflix. Do that little fast forward speed so it kind of gets through things faster. I don't think we're missing out on any acting performances there. That's the only reason I don't like to do that. I don't think we're missing out on much here. People do a fine job, but no one's getting nommed here. But it helps drive the story a little bit quicker. I did like Stuart Martin is playing the guy. He's playing Brad Cage. And he changed his name to that because his 2 idols when he was younger, 2 big action stars, Brad Pitt and Nick Cage, so he became Brad Cage. Thought that was pretty funny. And there's some good jokes along the way. You won't be mad with your time with this. Army of Thieves, it's funny. It has some things that move the thing along, the storyline along, and some neat, safe cracking things for I don't want to call him a first-time director, but a first-time big-time director. I think Matthias Schweighöfer does a great job. There's some tech stuff, some CGI stuff with the safes opening and how do they crack and how do the dials turn a different way, left, right, what have you. Screenplay here is by Shay Hatton. Shay Hatton, you should know, I mean, her and Zack Snyder are besties. You know, she's already working on Ballerina and John Wick. She's in the John Wick world, and the Ballerina is that spin-off thing of the John Wick stuff. But then she's in on Planet of the Dead with Snyder. She's in on Rebel Moon with Snyder. She was Army of Thieves, Army of the Dead. So she's done a bunch of Snyder stuff, and she's also John Wick stuff. So she knows her action stuff. She does a great job. Army of Thieves, check it out. Again, I would recommend the 1.25, maybe even the 1.5 speed over on Netflix because it'll help you move a little bit quicker, and I think you'll enjoy it. I do, just so you guys know, I watched it at regular speed. So I know that can skew a review, but I watched it at regular speed, but I'm kind of voting that you do it quicker. All right, all done with Army of Thieves. That's a positive review, not the greatest thing we've ever seen, but I want to finish up with the greatest actor I've ever seen, and his name is Thomas Hanks. Tom Hanks is in a movie post-apocalyptic. This is where the ozone layer has been stripped away. Not a spoiler. We find that out pretty early on. And now it's too hot. It's too hot to go outside. You step out in the sun, you'll burn like that. It's like 180 degrees. You step outside. So now the world has ended, if you will. And now Hanks is all by himself. He has a dog, and he has this mini, like, not remote control, because it drives on his own, little robot on wheels. He realizes he's out. He's dying. He's got the cancer. He might die on a Tuesday because now he needs to get someone to take care of his dog. He must have been an engineer or something in a past life. He talks about that, how he knows engineering, because now he starts to build a fully functioning robot that can now take care of his dog when he dies. Grab your box of tissues now. This man's last thing on earth that he wants to do is make sure that there's a robot that can take care of his dog after he passes away. So, dog lovers out there, I feel you're going to love this movie more so. People who don't give a darn about a dog will be like, whatever, man. You just wasted your time. I like dogs. So, I liked this movie. Hanks is Hanks. He does a fine job. I will tell you, you get these actors, obviously Hank's the epitome of it, but you get certain actors that you've seen them so many times, you kind of know their personal mannerisms, and because they show through in their performances a lot. And in this, there's a few times where Hanks is kind of a dick. And it took me back. I was like, wait a second. Tom Hanks doesn't talk like that. And then this character does. This guy, Finch, he does. So it kind of threw me off for a half second there. I was like, oh, remember, he's playing a character. Maybe. Or maybe he's a dick in real life. We don't know. But he does a good job. He does a good job with this character. Really enjoyed everything across the board. It does get you emotionally with the dog. And then, he is dying. It's not a spoiler alert here. That is the crux of the film, is that he is on his way out. But it's funny, him building and does some tropey things. He builds the robot. The robot needs to learn how to walk. The robot falls down. Ouch. I fall and I can't get up. Haha. Funny. Good stuff. Watched it with the wife. We were both fine with it. It's just under 2 hours. It's on Apple Plus. I liked this movie a lot. I will never watch this movie again. Is that a review? Is that a good review or bad? Is that a positive style review? I really had a good time with it. It was great. I will never say, hey, let's throw Finch back on, shall we? I think I'd rather watch The Burbs. But the CGI in this, they're going to the post-apocalyptic, I can't say the word. The post-world, there's tornadoes and there's storms and fun stuff like that. A lot of fun stuff. A lot of really good stuff in this movie. And it's a one-man show. Hanks is the only one in there, and then there's like a flashback sequence with a couple of actors that you see their silhouettes of for the most part. Voiceover work for the robot that he builds is Caleb Landry Jones, which threw me way off. I was like, oh, that's that guy? He's definitely doing a performance here, so good on him with his voice work for the robot named Jeff. Oh, spoiler. Probably shouldn't have told you that the robot's name is Jeff. Either way. And the dog is cute. I will tell you this. For a movie about a guy with a dog, and you're supposed to be heart-wrenched for losing the dog, or the dog now losing his owner, we don't get a lot of cute dog moments. A lot of times you'll give those cute dog moments that let you fall in love with the dog. But because they can't go outdoors, there's not a lot to do with the dog. There's not a whole lot of playing fetch scenes. You know what I mean? Where it's fun. Oh, we love the dog. He's so cute type thing. You just have to accept that this is a cute dog. Don't get me wrong. The dog is cute. But I wish we could have had something more for me to buy more into why I want to see this dog survive. That was a really weird sentence to say. That really was a weird sentence to say. We're going to end on that. Eternals. Great review. Harder They Fall. Great review. Army of Thieves, it's fine. Finch, more than fine. So there is 4 positive to more than positive reviews all around. I hope you guys go and check out all of those films. If you already have and you want to chat about them, again, 667-365-8253. You can text or leave a voicemail. Of course, Twitter, Instagram, DMs are open. Slide right out into them, folks. I would love to hear from you guys. All right, done with the reviews. Now on to Trivia Time winner. We have a repeat champion. Last week, Craig came in. The question was about Jonah Hill and touching his wiener or seeing his wiener, asking him about his wiener. That was the quote that came out last week. And Craig was the winner. He was the first one to call in. And actually, it's funny because Craig called in not with the wrong response, but just misquoting it and then corrected himself. Called in, left another voicemail. So wait a second. Let me correct myself, get that right. So trivia time for this week is going to be, we mentioned Jon Snow, and I said, you know nothing, Jon Snow. How about easiest question of all? What show is that from? You know nothing, Jon Snow. But here's the kicker. Who said it? Who said that? What is the name of the character that said that? Because I think the show is kind of an easy one, but what was the name of the character that said that? That is your trivia time for the week. We are rolling right along, folks, into our casting couch. Hop on aboard the casting couch. Hop on aboard that casting couch. What do you guys think? I asked last week, should we change up the segment breaks, the segment intros at all? Should we maybe make it more jazzy, more snazzy, or are they fine as is? We've had them for 4+ years for sure. I will tell you guys listening, I purposefully give this swig of coffee an extra little just for you guys. I don't normally slurp. Not a big slurper. Is that something people? Not a big slurper. Put that on your resume. All right, so moving along. Brian Stever, Take Two Podcast. I don't know why I just gave my last name. That was really weird. Brian, Take Two Podcast host. I don't know. Hey, follow me on all the socials. I don't mind. Casting couch. Oh, good one. Okay, Chris Pratt. Man, this guy. He always fits into our news section. I didn't write down any of the stuff that's going on with him. God forbid the guy say something nice about his wife, right? Man, oh man, the poor gentleman. If you don't know, guys, he put on Instagram, picture him and the wife. She's staring him down like a creepo. And he was like, get yourselves a woman that looks at you the way she looks at me. That whole sentiment. But then he belabors it into thank her for giving me a healthy son. Ooh, is that a jab at Ferris? Because their other son is autistic. Don't quote me on that. There is something. There's a learning disability. I believe their other child. Either way. So was it a jab there, or And then he mentions God a lot in there, and we all know he's very God Squad. And the guy got destroyed. He borderline canceled. Borderline, we're canceling Chris Pratt because he said nice things about his wife. Everybody said, "Ew, it's so cringe. Why would you talk about it?" Gentlemen, as someone who's been married multiple times, let me give you a little piece of advice. The coolest thing you can do is say nice things about your wife in public. Not because it'll score you points at home, but there's nothing cooler, in my opinion, than a man that is proud to be married to someone and proud to be a father. In my opinion. Just plain. So, Chris Pratt, your post wasn't cringe to me. It was sappy, but what are you going to do? Here's what he is going to do. Segued that into my segue. Chris Pratt is voicing over Garfield. I know we were nuts when he was voicing over Mario. People got nuts. Like, what? Him? He doesn't sound like Mario. He doesn't sound like Garfield either. But I have seen interviews where Chris Pratt does impressions of things, and he can act. He is an actor. So, would I have chosen somebody else? Probably. Is Chris Pratt a good actor? Probably. Let him do the voice of Garfield. Do we need another Garfield movie? No, probably not. Anywho, this Oppenheimer film by Chris Nolan, when did Chris Nolan decide to start getting like these big blowout? I know like Inception and stuff, he had big blowout actors, big name actors in them, but it wasn't a to-do that he had big name actors in. We've now got Cillian Murphy is aboard. He and Nolan do everything together. I'm fine with that. Emily Blunt is on board. Now we're going to add Matthew Damon and Robert Downey Jr. into Oppenheimer. Rock and roll. Let's do it, Chris Nolan. Maybe that was Chris Nolan's thing. He was like, maybe I just need to get the biggest big name actors out there to be in my phenomenal films, and then that'll help people not hate it like they did on Tenet. No disrespect to Pattinson and Washington. Anyway, Matt Damon and Robert Downey Jr., they're in Oppenheimer. Rock and roll. Sophia Boutella has been booked to play in Rebel Moon. This is Zack Snyder's Netflix project coming up next. He's going to do Rebel Moon, and then he's got Planet of the Dead. He's not doing any more DC stuff. So, Rebel Moon, Sofia Boutella is going to be in that with Zack Snyder. Sofia Vergara will be... No, that was a bad one. Oh, Brian. And on the most rolling name there is, Sofia Vergara. There we go. Much better. She would be mad at me for messing that up. She would send her half-wolf husband to come attack me on that one. Ooh, trivia. Who's her husband? Who's Sofia Vergara's husband? He used to be a wolf. That's your clue. She's playing Griselda Blanco, cocaine queen, back when ran all the drug cartels and stuff. They're doing a movie about her, about Griselda Blanco on Netflix, and we're getting Sofia Vergara to play her. I gotta say, Griselda, phenomenal name. The wife and I are done having kids, but if we had another one, I would want to throw Griselda into the mix as a name for the kid. That's badass. Like, if you're naming your child Griselda, what do you want her to be when she grows up? That's awesome. Now coming to the stage, Griselda. No, maybe that still works there. How I Met Your Father, the spinoff of How I Met Your Mother, for my money, worst ending to a television show of all time. Kim Cattrall has been added to that cast. So the spinoff there, How I Met Your Father, will have Kim Cattrall from Sex of the City fame. Greg Kinnear, this is a little Broadway stuff, will be replacing Jeff Daniels on Broadway, playing Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. I like Greg Kinnear. I like To Kill a Mockingbird. I like Broadway. That sounds like a good thing. And then last, Gal Gadot will be playing the evil queen in the live-action remake of Snow White. If you want to hear of a perfect casting, to me that sounds like a perfect casting. I'm excited for this. We're going to see more Gal Gadot going forward. We're going to talk about her going forward. Gal Gadot has given us a lane where she's amazing in Wonder Woman. She's great there. Can we expand on that acting? We've seen other things where she's in where I've kind of been like, all right, okay, So this is on a platter. Here you go. Can she give us a great evil performance? And she's going to have to show us a little bit of range there too. Evil Queen in Snow White. I'm wondering if they're also going to make her, when she gets into the witch and the ugly, put her in that makeup and all that. That'd be awesome. So looking forward to that casting. That wraps up our casting. All done with the casting couch. And now it's time for a little podcast recommendation. PodRec, folks, this week, diehard New York Yankee fan. You guys have known that if you listen to the show. Please don't unsubscribe because of that reason immediately. Because I'm going to talk about the Orioles here. I'm going to talk about a show called The Rumor. The Rumor is done by Mac Montadon and Sam Dingman. Forgive me, gentlemen, if I messed up your names. 3 eps out so far. It is all about the rumor, and the reason we're talking about this on our TV and movie podcast is because it involves Kevin Costner. Those who are big baseball folks, you heard about this rumor back in the day, especially if you lived in my area of just south of Baltimore, Maryland. There was a rumor, 1997, that Cal Ripken caught Kevin Costner and Cal Ripken's wife, Kelly, smooching. And Cal flipped out. Then he got to the ballpark that night to play the game, couldn't play. Emotionally, apparently he got beat up. Like he beat up Kevin Costner, so his knuckles were all bloody. Something like that. Like the rumor is nuts what happened. So the Orioles shut down the power just before the game was about to start to Camden Yards, one of the most beautiful ballparks in all the stadium. Shut it down. Can't play the game. No lights, can't play. The rumor is that they did that on purpose to keep Cal's streak alive. Now, at this point, 1997, he had already passed Lou Gehrig, and he was just tacking on days. But he wanted to keep the streak going. He wasn't ready to end it. So they shut it down. Game canceled. Doubleheader tomorrow. Cal, you'll play in both games. Go home. Get right. Make things okay with the fam. So, I'm not loving jumping onto a show completely devoted to did this lady cheat on her husband. But the rumor is more so about the conspiracy of what did the Orioles do and how many times did they change or fudge things so that Cal could keep the streak alive. Now, before you guys are flipping out saying, well, you're a Yankee fan, of course you want to poo-poo the streak. If your YouTubers are watching, okay, this is by Cal Ripken, autographed baseball right here. I am a baseball purist at heart first, okay? So a big rule of thumb. You don't hate the players on other teams. You don't hate the ones that suck, okay? I hated Cal as a kid out of respect because he was so freaking good. Cal was one of the best, surefire Hall of Famer, class act across the board, okay? Big fan of Cal Ripken. So, Junior. So, don't get me wrong. This isn't just me being a Yankee fan, like, lapping it up. Now, I will say this. I have mentioned the rumor show to a couple of Oriole fans, and they immediately were like, blah, blah, we don't want to talk about that. Don't tarnish our Cal. But that's what the entire show is about. I will tell you this. Sam and Mac, Cal Ripken fans, Big O's fans. But they're just diving deeper into what happened here, and then more so after 3 eps, I can tell they're diving more into also what else happened to keep the streak alive. Like, what else did we do to keep the streak alive? So I promise you, I'm not hate listening to this or on my cloud looking down upon the Orioles listening to this as a Yankee fan. I'm listening because this is fun stuff. This is interesting things as to what lengths maybe the Orioles had to do to keep the streak alive, what did Cal do to keep the streak alive, and is it all just foobar? Is it all nonsense? Did Kelly Ripken not hook up with Kevin Costner? It's very intriguing. It's actually, as far as like true crime documentary type stuff, but they have it all about just this incident with baseball going forward. I have not been able to find how many eps it is. It's 3 so far, episodic, dropping, but I don't know how far we're going. I wanted to say I saw 6. Forgive me. If I find that out by next week, Ep266, I'll let you know. All right. The Rumor, it's available on all podcasting platforms. It's fantastic. It's really well done. It's solid audio quality. The chemistry between the co-hosts is fantastic. I highly recommend it, even if you're not into baseball. If you're into like true crime stuff, jump on there. It has that element to it. A lot of fun stuff. All right, done with our PodRec. On to trailer talk time. Only 2 trailers this week we're going to chat about. Both of them a little bit creepy. Excuse me. Morbius dropped his second trailer, its final trailer, I think. January 28th, 1922. That's wrong. January 28th, 2022. That was weird. I gotta be honest, I'm in on this. I'm in. I don't know. I mean, I like Leto. He picks and chooses. The thing with Leto is sometimes he does a great job no matter what he performs in. I've never saw Leto performance and thought, ugh, that wasn't great. But he's picked some projects that maybe weren't great. That's where we'll go with that. Here he's playing Dr. Morbius, turns into Morbius, looks very scary. The confusion amongst this trailer is in the background. The old Easter eggies that they give you is timeout. Isn't that Tom Holland's Spider-Man suit? So is this Morbius in the Tom Holland verse? Timeout. There's Michael Keaton, but he's in jail, isn't he? And he's talking to Michael Keaton. So again, Tom Holland verse. Timeout. There's an Oscorp building, but that Oscorp building was from Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Mans. And timeout, but there was another Easter egg in there that referenced Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I think people were like, what is happening here? I agree. What is happening here? This is January. We're going to get Far From Home. No Way Home? No Way Home. Excuse me. We're going to get the next Spider-Man in December. That'll answer all those little questions, folks. Maybe. And then we'll get Morbius. And then we'll get Doctor Strange. And then, it'll all wrap up. So I think the deal with all of this, folks, is we need to commit to multiple films going forward. What's going to happen before we get answers, before we get all those answers. And Morbius is going to fit into that. I don't know. It looks creepy. It looks scary. It looks like something I kind of want to watch. They're very hard on, this is from the makers of Venom. That doesn't excite me. I know that excites some people. Like, woo, I loved Venom. I don't know many of those folks. But either way. Stranger Things Part 4. There's a good R roll. We still don't have a release date yet, but it gave us a more in-depth, this is about spring break. 11 is writing to what's his name, that she's going to be back. She's in school, living a real person life, and she can't wait to see him. They're going to have the best spring break ever, so it looks like the whole band's going to get back together. So maybe everyone's going their separate ways after season 3, which was the best season by far. And then, maybe not by far, season 1 was great. And then into season 4, now they all have to come back together to fight the Demogorgons. I will say this. Have said this in season 1. These kids are aging, man. These kids are getting old. So if you're going to keep them in, like, unless they're going to say 7 years later type thing to kind of explain why these kids went from, like, everything in Stranger Things so far has happened within 6 months. But now we're jumping. Obviously, this is going to be a time jump to a degree. They're gone for a while, coming back for spring break. That's going to help out with these kids getting older and these actors just getting older and explain why they're getting to that. The trailer looked good. It had some actiony things to it. It gave me some Breaking Bad feels at a point or two. Some explosions out in like the desert. I was like, oh, that kind of looks like Breaking Bad a little bit. And I mean that in a good way. So, Stranger Things Part 4, Season 4, whatever you want to call it, coming out in 2022. All right, done with our trailers. On to story time. All right, story time. I like to give you guys some personal little anecdotes that happened throughout my week last week. And this one is a quick one. The daughter is 8th grade, looking at high schools. We're looking at Catholic high schools for her to go to, and we've been going to these open houses. We went to 3 open houses yesterday. 3 in one day. It was a gauntlet for sure. Especially, I feel bad for her because by the time we got to the third one, she had asked, what math class are you taking? About 11 times already. She's like, fudge me. I'm in algebra, folks. What do you want me to say? I was like, at this point, just start lying. Tell them you're in pre-calc just to blow their minds. Anyway, we go to one that is all-girls school. Beautiful school. Oh, beautiful. If she goes there, I would be over the moon. Absolutely beautiful school. And as we're walking around doing the whole thing, again, all-girls school, I stop, and the students leading the tour and then 2 teachers are within earshot. And I said, man, I've really got to go, but I can't find a men's room anywhere. So if any of you laughed at that joke, thank you, okay? My daughter nailed it. Nailed the eye roll perfect, right? It is now my goal in life as a father to embarrass the crap out of my children. Step 1, daughter, 13 years old, going into high school. I've told her I have a lot of bad jokes lined up to say in public in front of her and embarrass her. And I got them ready to go. And that one played so well. Her instant eye roll. Her mom, my ex-wife, double the eye roll, which is a double win for me. And then the student kind of like didn't click right away. Like she was like, well, we don't. And then like she was going to tell me, well, sir. And then the teacher laughed. And then she was like, sir, you can use the faculty one. And I had to then tell the teacher, I actually don't have to go. I was just making it funny. Not that funny. Anywho, story time is over. Now on to our Hollywood news. Oh, you got to make yourselves laugh, folks. You got to make yourselves laugh. All right, Hollywood news. Boondock Saints Part 3 is back. It's happening, and they're bringing the whole band back together. We're talking directors. We're talking actors. We're talking you name it. They're all coming back. And I think that's good because Boondock Part 2 was meh. So hopefully they can kind of retcon a little bit and rectify it. That Tower of Terror movie that ScarJo is a producer on through Disney, they found their director. Have you heard of a gentleman named Taika Waititi? Oh, because he's a good one. That's a great director for them to grab. Tower of Terror coming out soon. They're going to start filming by the end of this year, hopefully. Great Outdoors. Remember that movie, 1988? Yeah, I was only 7, maybe 6, depending on the release date when that thing came out. It looks like they're doing a part 2. I mean, did someone call Dan Aykroyd and be like, hey, you're a little low on cash, Dan? Cool. Ghostbuster it up. Great outdoor it up. I don't want to think that way. Hopefully that's not what happened. But it looks like Aykroyd's like, let's just play the hits, man. Bring them all back. We're looking at a Great Outdoors Part 2 is going to happen. There is going to be a table read of It's a Wonderful Life, December 5th. You can, this is for the Ed Asner Foundation. You can buy tickets to stream this thing online, $25. I might do it. Listen to this cast. Lou Diamond Phillips, Ed Harris, Ron Funches, Mark Hamill, Martin Sheen, Rosario Dawson, Gene Smart, Mandy Patinkin, George Wendt, and Jason Sudeikis. Sudeikis will be playing George Bailey. George Wendt, who's his real-life uncle, did not know that, will be playing Uncle Billy, and then the rest of the cast will fill out from there. I'm curious where we're going with this. This is for the Ed Asner Foundation. This is to raise money, so I don't know. Like, immediately I would think, oh, Sudeikis is going to give us a George Bailey impersonation. Merry Christmas, Bedford Falls. That type of thing. But I'm thinking maybe since this is actually for a charity and they're trying to raise money, maybe he won't ham it up too bad. And he'll just give us a great performance, which I fully believe in with Sudeikis. So, December 5th, might be giving you guys a review of a table read. Why not? What the heck? Emilio Estevez, buddy, he's out. There will not be a Coach Bombay for Season 2 of Mighty Ducks on Disney+. It sounds like the reason is because he is... Well, I mean, he came right out and said he's against the strict Disney vaccine protocols. So, sounds like Estevez is an anti-vaxxer. So be it, man. But it's costing you work. And it's costing us Coach Bombay in Season 2. Which is weird because Season 1 really ended with him coaching. You know, Lauren Graham did it, but it really, she begged him to be the coach, and then by the end of it, spoiler alert, he's now on board. So it was like, oh, nice. Season 2, we're going to get back to that Bombay, most overrated coach of all time. If you really think about how Mighty Ducks play out, he makes some dumb coaching decisions that he really gets away with. Highly overrated coach in TV history, TV and film history, let me tell you. But at least Season 2, we were going to get Bombay back. These kids believe in Bombay, and so they were going to have him. Now, it appears, he's out. No Emilio Estevez due to vaccine protocols. Other political type issues, The Rock now vows to not use live guns ever again on any of his films that he is in charge of. This is in the wake of Alec Baldwin and the Rust tragedy that happened a couple of weeks ago, which more and more develops on that. Not great news the more and more we hear about it. There is some very huge malpractice done with the handling of those firearms on Rust. So for The Rock to say this, okay, commendable, Rock, like it. You're now going to fix it in post, a lot of CGI to cover up the guns. Okay, my issue here is not a gun issue. My issue here is a jobs issue. You have now removed the jobs of probably 4 to 5 individuals who supplied said guns, who handle said guns, who, oversee all. Like the people on 99% of these shoots that do it the right way are now going to lose their job on your action movies because you're not going to have them. So it's a little bummer that, this is a bad sentence to say, one bad apple is going to ruin the bunch because one person did a really bad job and a person lost their life tragically because of it. So now we're going to knee-jerk and say, no more guns on my stuff. So that's the only bummer I hear from that story. Good on you, Rock. You don't want to use live guns. You want to fix it in post. Just use rubber ones. Bang, bang. All right, I get it. But now you've cost people jobs, and especially your movies where you use a lot of guns in a lot of your films. So that's the bummer. That's the yin for the yang, where when I hear that, it's like, oh, that means there's at least 5 people out of work on any of your projects. They'll find it somewhere else, maybe. But in a world where people are trying to get back to work, trying to get back to jobs, trying to earn money again, now we're not having jobs. That was how I hear that. All right, so ending Hollywood news on a positive note, folks. We got some good stuff coming back. Taika Waititi is a great director. Boondock Part 3, and then That Wonderful Life thing. Super looking forward to that. All right, moving along out of the Hollywood news, onto DC discussion. Superman and Lois got its release date, CW, January 11th. Holy Lord, that's right around the corner. Season 1 just ended a month ago. They must have been on top of this, like, boom, we're a hit. And they were. They broke a lot of CW records for viewership because it was a very good show. It cliffhangered poorly, but still, it was a great show, top to bottom. They took a nuance, a new thing with Superman and moved forward that we hadn't seen before. And it's something that they're kind of touching on in the comics, and they did it with this one. So I'm very excited for that. January 11th, 2022, CW. I'll be all over that. I'll give you a full season recap when that thing's done in May. But either way, to that note, Lucy Lane will be back. Jenna Dewan played Lucy Lane over on Supergirl. Keeping that continuity, she's going to play Lucy Lane, and she will be in some episodes of Superman and Lois Season 2. Woohoo! Fun fact, folks. My daughter's name is Lucy. Not a coincidence. Nope, not a coincidence. Aquaman 2 has been delayed in filming. They are just early stages of the filming process, but they have to delay it because Aquaman got COVID. Jason Momoa currently has COVID, has to sit out for a couple of weeks. He's kind of the star of that film, so they need to delay that a couple of weeks. On to the Marvel Minute. All right, talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. We got the runtime for this thing. If you check our socials, you'll see that the official poster just came out. Neat. Remember back in the day when that was a cool thing? Like it was a legit thing? Oh, the poster. It's so badass. Look at the Jurassic Park. It's just all black with the dinosaur. So cool. And people really bought into that. Nowadays, it's kind of gone by the wayside to a degree. I think the only people that pay attention to poster stuff are comic book folk, because now they're trying to look for Easter eggs. This one gave it to us. This poster gave it to us. You got 4 villains inside of there. You see Green Goblin in the background. You see a sand kind of swirl. Looks like a hand of sand coming. There's Sandman. Lightning striking. That's Electro. And then, of course, you see the Doc Ock tentacles coming right at Tom Holland, dead center in the photo. There's probably about 38 other Easter eggs in there that I personally missed. But hey, if you guys saw them, 667-365-8253. Let me know what I missed. That poster's out, but we also got the runtime. 2 hours and 39 minutes. That's a lengthy. But what are you going to do? They have a lot to cover. If we're going to dive into 3 different universes here, if we're going to jib-jab everything up and visit Doctor Strange, and then we meet Garfield, and then we meet Maguire, and their bad guys, and it's got to be lengthy. This thing's freaking 2 hours and 39 minutes long. And it is 2:39 because you got to sit through the end credit because they're probably going to give us 2 end credits. I hope they give us 2 end credits because we're going forward on us. Although, Now that I think about that, I say that out loud, which is a good thing to do when you do a podcast, to say words out loud. If this leads us to Doctor Strange and the whole worlds are all conflicted, a la how Infinity War ended, you're not going to get a post-credit because the movie's going to end on a hanger of, what do we do? I don't know. What do we do? We go to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, he's going to fix. So maybe there won't be post-credits. Guess what, folks? We're still going to sit all the way at the end of those credits, aren't we? Watch all those names scroll up, which out of respect, I do anyway. And folks, you should too. These people worked hard on these films. The least you can do is just sit there and watch their names scroll up, pretend to be reading them, try and find like funky names. I like to try and find my own name. Hey, there's O'Brien. He was the second key grip. Good for you. Black Panther 2. Man, this movie has been through some scrutiny for sure. It has been shut down until 2022 due to Letitia Wright's latest injury. This isn't the original injury that she got. She's got another one. The lady keeps getting banged up doing some of her own stunt work, what have you. So they've shut everything down until January. So we'll circle back. We've already pushed this movie. We'll circle back to maybe they might need to push it more. This might be a reason why they decided to push it. We just heard about 2 weeks ago. That is it for the Marvel Minute. We are all done. Man, I just noticed we're hitting an hour here. This is a lengthy show. I hope you guys enjoyed. Did not realize that we were talking that much. Going forward for the big theater, you've got Clifford the Big Red Dog. Let me say this. I saw the second trailer for Clifford in the theater when I went to see Eternals. The second trailer is better than the first. It wasn't as god-awful looking as I thought. I was like, oh, all right, there's some heart in here in this movie. You know, people are like attacking. They want to get rid of him. He seems like he's a menace, but really he's saving the community type thing. I don't know if I'll see this. The kids have to be on board to check this out. But it didn't look as awful, cringy as the first trailer did. I'll give it that. This weekend, Belfast comes out. I am diehard wanting to see this. This is a front runner for Oscar's Best Picture right now. So circle this film on your charts if we're getting into Oscar season come next March, because this movie should be up there. It's a reason I am very excited to go see it. It's based on a true story of Kenneth Branagh that happened to him in his life. And then Tick, Tick, Boom is coming out also later on this week, but that is a limited release, so you might not get it into all of your theaters. Netflix, the big drop is Red Notice. Gal Gadot, The Rock, and Ryan Reynolds. Very excited to see that on Netflix this weekend. Those are your big releases that I'm looking forward to. I will probably have 2 of those films that I mentioned for review of next week. Yellowstone just started. Dexter just started back up. Yellowstone I might be able to knock out this week. I did not realize they drop them all in a row, which is awesome. So if I'm able to catch up, I will catch up, and that would be great. Dexter is episodically dropped weekly, which is how things should be done. But either way, those would be out. I will tell you guys, in mentioning, I meant a second ago, Life Stories. Kenneth Branagh did this Life Story. Top 5 movie of mine all time, Almost Famous. We did trivia time. It was an Almost Famous quote a little while ago, and the wife had never seen it. This weekend, had a minute, didn't really have anything new that her and I were ready to watch. I said, you know what? How about some Almost Famous? And she bought in, said, we'll do it. I knew that there was an extended cut. It's called Untitled, right? And I knew that Cameron Crowe filmed 172 minutes worth of extended cut. I did not know. I clicked on that. Now, I had the DVD, but we were sitting right here and it was free on Amazon Prime. So I was like, here we go. We'll just click right here. We wound up watching the 2 hour and 42 minute uncut version or extended cut version. Now, the wife didn't know. And she was like, that was great. I loved it. I was like, I'm sorry. There was a lot of scenes in there that weren't. It's normally a 2 hour even film. It's like 202, I think, even. But we got an extra 40 minutes. She wound up really liking it. You ever do that, right? You have a film that you like, you really enjoy, and then you recommend it to someone. Not only do you recommend it, and now you're nervous that they'll like it too, or if you'll recommend it and watch it with them. I was side-eyeing like the whole time, like, she like this scene? She like that scene? Did she like that scene? Man, I hope so. Luckily, she came out of it. She was invested. She didn't really notice the lengthy runtime. She was like, oh, really? What scenes were cut? And I told her some scenes that were cut, and she was mad. She was like, why would they cut that? Because that was a great scene. Anyway, holy cow. That should have been the story time, because that was called Ramble Time. Ramble Time, brought to you today by Ramblings. All right, folks, thank you guys once again for joining Take Two Podcast, episode 265. Have a great night, everybody.